So we're here today on this next entry to the SUNation Energy podcast. We're here today with my good friend and colleague, Kevin O'Connor. Kevin is the CEO of Dime Bank, formerly Bridgehampton National Bank. Welcome, Kevin.
Good morning. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
So today's mission today is to talk about power reliability. You know, we've had in previous sections, we've talked a lot about solar and EV charging, but I think it'd be irresponsible to not tie them all together and talk about how important storage is in a home. So Kevin's home, which is right back on the beautiful Connecticut River here. I won't give you the address. Okay. You know, we have a relationship. Dime Bank is also SUNation's bank, but we have a relationship where we're always looking out for one another. And COVID hit.
Yes, it did.
And it was a dark day for SUNation. It was a dark day for Long Island as a whole and the country. But when we get granular, for the first time in probably 30 years of being in business, the government actually had a program that helped us, business owners, keep the doors open. Tell me about your involvement with the PPP program.
So again, when you think about what was going on, the world was falling apart, and figured how you can help. And we always talk about what can you do to help. And then the government came with this program, and it rallied all of our employees, quite honestly. And so as a small bank, we were small enough to be nimble, but big enough to have the resources. And all of our employees basically jumped in. And as we were watching frontline workers do what they were doing, our people working from home did 4,000 loans, $1 billion of financing. And in the middle of the night, and we probably broke some rules getting it done. You know, sharing passwords, doing some of the stuff you're not supposed to do, but it gave everybody an opportunity to do something and to help people, and you know, recognizing that effort kept people employed, because somebody like yourself basically said, I don't want to send people. I want people to work. I don't want them to have to go on the other public assistance programs that are out there. And so you kept your employees working, and thousands of employees were able to keep their jobs because of the money that was out there. It was a very successful government program. In fact, I was actually asked by a newspaper to give my opinion of it, and my opinion was positive, and it didn't fit their narrative. And so I didn't get in the newspaper because I wanted to say the positive things that were out there and about the important work that our employees did working with companies like yourself. So it was an exciting time to basically make a difference.
Yeah, and what it did for me is, so I always had tremendous comfort in the relationship my company built with you and with the bank. You know, above and beyond kind of a business relationship. But what I started to realize very early is we had to pivot in SUNation, and people were now working remotely, right? Like, so I probably had 34 people that we had to all of a sudden gear up to work remotely and make the investments, and you know, trying to buy a laptop at that time was crazy. And you did the same kind of thing. But what it really hit home for me was, okay, so now I have my staff working from home, and what happens if we have another Sandy? And fortunately, we had an Isaias come through, and I contacted you, and now I knew you had COVID. You were in the shit, man. You were in the shit. You had, 2 rounds of PPP. Everything was changing for business. Like, every rule came down, and then the next day it changed. And how you pivoted was amazing. How all of our businesses pivoted. But what really hit home for me was, okay, so now I have 40 people working at home. If we go through another Sandy, we're out of business. And then I started thinking, holy mackerel, Dime Bank is the future of my company. They're handling my PPP. If they go down, where am I?
It was, so we had the same thing. We had to try and find laptops, get them all. And as they're walking out the door, I had all these employees come in, and we had to set up, because they couldn't talk to them, so there'd be a special room where the laptop be dropped and somebody would talk them through that. And as they're walking out the door, I realized my business is dependent upon the grid, and quite honestly, either FiOS or Cablevision, because if that goes out. And so luckily, all of that worked. I would have never thought that, I was dependent upon it, but we sent everybody home. But it did make me think about, now all of a sudden, instead of everything, as a bank, we have redundancies in lots of things. We have backup generators, everything, all that can happen. And now all of a sudden, I'm relying on 100 people's homes for power, for their access to the internet, and it was a scary time. And so, thankfully it all worked, but it did make you think about how you're going to handle that. And we still do. We still have a number of employees that work from home. in this job market, and we've had this conversation. We have a lot of employees that either can't come back because they're dealing with childcare issues, or they're still uncomfortable, and so you still have that as an issue about basically their ability to access, and communicate to our employees. Because the other part of our business is we have 60 branches that have to be in there every day.
Right.
And so there's the challenge, because when a customer comes in a branch, they need an answer. And you used to be able to go to headquarters and make that phone call. Now you pick up the phone and call in somebody's house, and hopefully they're there answering it.
Right. Hopefully their cell phone's charged.
Well,
right. Which, by the way, as we sit right now, just so you know, Kevin did a very large solar system on his house. It's 69. It's about a 25 kW solar system, all black on black. It's just a stellar install. But he also invested in 4 Tesla Powerwalls as well. So as we're speaking right now, we're on grid power, but we're going to simulate the shutdown, and you won't even notice that
Right.
there's any change in anything. But it gives Kevin the peace of mind that he's in charge of his business 24/7. Now with the branches, is there any codes or anything that says, okay, so you're a bank branch, you have to have backup power?
We have it in like 5 of our branches. So it's not all of them, it's not a requirement. But over the years, we've invested in our headquarters in Bridgehampton. We have one we're in Hauppauge. We have one in Southold. So sort of centrally located, basically some backup generation to allow that
Right.
if when everything goes down, that at least we can service our customers in a couple locations. So you may have to drive, but we can actually do that.
Right. And so those would be your core locations that, NASA, you're at that
yep,
level,
yep.
you're at the top of the blasting off the rocket, you're in that top level people and stuff like that. But what do you do? What do you tell all the people that are, let's talk about the inevitable, God forbid it ever happens, but the inevitable that all your leaders, okay, are working remotely and the branches are shut down, God forbid. Like, are you able to communicate? I know you started to look into it. It's part of the 2023 budget right now, is to make sure that at least your senior team all has the power reliability. But don't you see this as an overlooked problem as the rest of the world is in this new norm? You can't generate income if you have no power.
So I think you're right, and it's a conversation. It's probably more of an unofficial conversation. We all talk about it, who has a generator, I bragged about my batteries, I'll be honest with you,
Right.
is that the decision to do this and working with you and your team, it gave me great comfort. And so I think if I think about all of my sort of senior people, I think all of them have some form of backup power now at this point in time, because you're right, between cell phones, I have all of my employee cell phone numbers, and that's how we do our tests. When we're going to shut a branch down because of weather or something like that, or any kind of, we go out there and we test that regularly. So
Right.
the cell phone connection is something I never thought would evolve to where it is, but that is really that would be the thing. If that went out, I think we would all be in trouble, right?
Yeah.
That's the connection I think we all have with our employees.
Yeah, no, you're right. And just to give you some scale, where we're sitting right now, if this was 9 or 10 years ago, if this was Sandy, Kevin and I would be about up to here, right about up to here with water. So, and the irony is that so I live upriver, and we lost power for 13 days. We were out, but I never lost FiOS. I don't know whether it's because it was a fiber optic network or whatever. But so everybody in my group of people that had to file their claims for FEMA or whatever, they came to my house because I had a big generator at the time running, propped up on skids. There we go. Okay, no, it's okay. Is that yours?
No, that's the neighbor.
The neighbor's dog.
I guess their electric fence isn't working.
It's not on standby. But so where does a company how many employees does Steinbank?
800 employees.
So there's 800 employees. So there's probably 200 critical. 1 out of 5 is probably critical and stuff like that. So for more companies, how do you send the message to them? I get the message, right? Like I live and breathe the message that, listen, if you don't have power, your business will suffer. I have a generator on the roof of my building. Unfortunately, I have a generator, after Sandy, I purchased a generator, so it did make sense to do Powerwalls, which right now, if you check right now, which we'll go to the app afterwards, we're right now on backup power. We're running off solar and we're running off stored energy. See, nothing changed.
How did you know that? Did somebody text you or something?
I did. I got a little note that says you're on backup power, so that's a good thing. But so how do you compel how important reliability, power, and we're not talking about watching TV and stuff
No,
like that. These people, I mean, 50% of the workforce is still working remotely, right?
You know what, and I'm going to, I think it's a testament to our employees and how they feel about you as a customer and their customers, is that, and you've met our branch managers, you've met our lenders, they feel passionate about they're your partner in business, and it's almost, they want to be connected, right? So they recognize, I mean, they give out their cell phone to everybody,
Right.
and so that's the connection they have with their customers, and so I think they're sort of self-selecting that they want to make sure that they're in contact because, and I think, as you said, probably Sandy a number of years ago, and then certainly with the pandemic, they recognize that we want to be your first call when an issue happens,
Right.
and they recognize that's the value proposition we offer. You know, banking to a degree is a commoditized business, but it's how we deliver that commodity. It's how they, you know, work with you and their other customers and feel like they're making a difference. You know. Your job is to figure out how to buy those panels, install them, hire the people, do all of that, and continue to innovate and do all the things. You should not have to worry about your banking, right? That should be sort of something that occurs sort of organically.
Right.
And that's the way I'd like to think that we're treating our customers, is that, you know, you have to do all the hard work. What we're doing should be relatively easy for you, and I feel like our employees, that's what they feel is important about their job.
Right.
And so that connectivity, that ability, I mean, we have branches. And so people say bank branches are unnecessary today because who goes into a branch? They go into a branch when there's an issue. But they're really sort of 60 private banking locations where, you know, you're dealing with somebody. I go to a branch and a lot of times there's no customers there, but they're so busy they can't talk to me because they're on the phone with customers. Right. They're dealing with all of that. And I was funny as the other day I got some kind of a survey about what customers think about and what they worry about. And they worry about the security of their banking relationship today. That cybersecurity, their account being hacked. And so that ability to kind of pick up the phone and when you see something in your account, pick up and talk to somebody, get an answer, is incredibly important. So I'm every day amazed by the effort and the commitment our employees make to servicing their customers.
Yeah, no question. And I go into the bank branch because I like to meet my bankers and I like to sit, have coffee. You know, you develop that personal relationship. And not that I've ever asked for anything, you know, that was out of line, but you ask for, you just want to know people that you're dealing with. And that's the number one thing that I think that this whole work from home, the new norm thing, you know, I believe that you're going to come to a time where we're going to start treating mental illness of people that are remote and isolated and
Without a
stuff.
doubt.
But hence, a lot of people still believe that working from home, they're more productive. Again, in certain things, it could be, but none of that is possible if they don't have power at the home.
Right.
And that's, you know, so I'm on this, I feel like Don Quixote sometimes on this one-man mission that it's not if we're going to have this, it's just when. Whether it's a year from now, 2 years, we're going to have another significant outage, and we don't even know what we don't know because people were working during Sandy. Like everybody went to work. It was pre-pandemic. Now, post-pandemic, these people, their whole livelihoods revolve around being able to tie in. Yep. They're working from Florida. They're working from all over the place. You know, so I just don't know. You know, from a corporate social responsibility side, where is the line between okay, well, we believe this, and we need to make this investment in our workforce to make sure that there's a continuous of business during an outage. How do you get that message? Other than guys like you who you know you buy it, you understand it.
I mean, it's first off talking about it, right? Is that the fact that, you know, I did this and I talk about it all the time. I think I've referred a number of people to you because I believe in it. I have 3 sons, and so this is the house they're all coming to. So that's what's nice about it too. I know they're all going to come here when it happens, right? So this is the refrigerator will be full, right? And so it's a matter of continuing the dialogue, right? You know, you and I talked a little bit about the work from home thing. It's, you know, we all learn through osmosis, sitting in a room or being around people, and you learn so much from that. And that's the part that's missing in this work from home, is that you can only get so much from that little box, that Zoom box, which still, you know, every other time I get on there, something's wrong, right? Well, we think this technology is flawless. We've all been on them, and you're on mute. The connection's not there. Can I share a screen? I don't. It's just the effort that goes on to make it work. Sometimes I think is we don't understand that.
Yeah. No, I'm 100% on board. In my company, we solve problems face to face. We grab everybody in a room. This is the issue. How are we going to, and poof, everybody goes out. I would imagine with banking, there's also has to be some security issues as well. I mean, from Zoom boxing, I just did a state of the company address last week, and I didn't let anybody record it or videotape it. There was no recording because it was some pretty highly sensitive data that we were sharing. So, you know, I think in the Zoom world, do you pull back some of the stuff that you're able to discuss?
There is a challenge. So one of the things that we did early on in the pandemic, because again, I have 60 locations, you had people working from home, we started doing these town hall conversations. So every week I would get on with all, you know, at that point in time we hadn't done the merger, so it was 500 employees. You know, it is, at least you got to talk to them. First off, who didn't have cameras? That was the big thing.
Right.
Can we get everybody a camera? I'm tired of looking at black boxes. Then I do believe there will be a coffee table book of all the bad pictures that people put on Zoom at some point in time. We had people in their bed, you know, we all heard about the bad stories. So I think there is a funny book out of that somewhere along the way. But you did get comfortable, and I probably have erred on the side of probably saying things on Zoom that I worry that maybe somebody might have recorded. But at the end of the day, it was an ability to communicate, that everybody sort of focused and do what they're doing, to understand what we were trying to accomplish. Right. You know, and to pull people out in that conversation too, because you don't want to be the only voice. You want to get that interaction that is really what's about running a business, right? I mean, we don't have all the answers,
right? For sure.
We have most of the questions, and the people doing the work and try to pull that out of them, and that's a hard one on Zoom. You know, it's much easier to walk around the building and sort of, I'm sure you stick your head in somebody's office and say, what's going on? Right. And, you know, that one-on-one, that ability to look you in the eye, and they're going to really tell you. They may not tell you on Zoom, but they'll tell you face-to-face.
I mean, one of the cool things about, you know, the investment that you made, so you have a solar system up there, and basically, you know, the solar system that's on your home was sized to pretty much offset your normal usage, which means that you're left with a small bill just for the interconnection. Right. People love opening up that bill and going, oh, this is great, $18, right? We've seen since January, because of the escalation in a barrel of oil and natural gas, we've seen electric kilowatt hour at a home here, which is a net metered home, meaning you go at 7 o'clock in the morning, you turn a light switch on, you're paying the same as at 7 p.m., at 11 p.m., it doesn't matter. So it's the same kilowatt hour rate all the time. But so you're already capturing the benefits of the reduced rates. We've seen in January the rates go from about 20.5 cents. People are going to open their June bills and they're going to see 28, 29 cents a kilowatt. I mean, just massive increases right with inflation and everything else. But with the Powerwalls, one of the other benefits are, you know, we're going to be moving to this thing called the time of use rate code pretty soon. California has it, Massachusetts, plenty other higher, more evolved renewable markets have this. And what it means is that if you are taking power at prime time, middle of the summer, air conditioning, you know, LIPA needs 6 gigawatts of power. They have to buy from Niagara Mohawk. They have to buy credits from all, whether they use them or not is irrelevant. They have to buy that capacity. So what happens is, with the time of use rate, when the power is more expensive, you pay more. Okay. So in California right now, a tier 3 is somewhere around 60 cents a kilowatt hour. That would be for a mega mansion, right? Big. They even charge you size of your home. Okay, it's not just when, but it's size of your home as well. So they're at 60, 65 cents a kilowatt hour in peak. We're looking at, when we hit time of use, I believe, regardless of wind power and all the other stuff that's going to go, I believe we're going to hit 34, 35 cents. Now, when time of use comes, now we can take your home and we can generate electricity for and charge the Powerwalls when it's at its lowest rate and deploy it into the house when it's at its higher rate. So you made a decision to use Tesla Powerwalls basically for power reliability, not anticipating that there would actually be a return on investment as well. So we're getting to that place, I would say, within the next year or so, where we'll start to come in and program a home into using power. When you have your EV, you're going to be charging it at night. When you're doing certain things, you're going to be, and we can program the home to do all this kind of stuff at night. So that's one of the other sides of getting into batteries. But power reliability is number one. We're still on Powerwall right now, which is great. You'll get some pictures of that. But other than that, I appreciate your confidence in the industry and for the power reliability, and spread the gospel, because I think that what we're doing is so important when the next event happens and the one after that, that the people that are going to win are the ones that are not just IT savvy, that, okay, we can work remotely, but also have all the other I's dotted and T's crossed as well from the grid services and whatever else they need. You know, you can't just Uber Eats, power.
So I appreciate, part of it is you. and your company and the way you're out there in the community. I said, as a community bank, we're only as strong as the communities that we're involved in, and it's working with people like yourself that give myself the confidence to make this decision. Right? It's a big decision for me to go do this. Right? I could have gone gas generator, and I didn't, because I knew you. We had enough conversations and recognized this is the right direction to go, and it's your company and the way you commit to the community makes me want to be a partner with you.
I appreciate it. So that's Kevin O'Connor, CEO of Dime Bank, my friend, my colleague, my fellow board member. Beautiful home on the Connecticut River, and on the next SUNation Energy Show, I don't know what I'm going to do yet. See ya.